My hope is that after this movie, Black women in particular are given peace.
Like I felt like this was the first time that I didn't feel like I was creating a character. I felt like I was like almost like an ancestral historian.
We met with everyone. We were like, do you want to do it?
It was surreal to arrive. I mean, we were the last thing that was filmed, and Gabby and I showed up like, what's up, you guys? Everyone was just haggard when we arrived on set. We're like, what's up? Anybody want a juice or what?
Hey guys, I'm Janelle Monáe, and I want to welcome you to Entertainment Weekly's Around the Table with the cast of Antebellum. We are here with a phenomenal cast. We have Jena Malone, Tongai Teresa, we have Jack Houston, we have Gabourey Sidibe, we have Lily Coles, and we have the directors, Gerard Bush and Christopher Rentz. And we want to give a special shout out to Kiersey Clemens, who is ill today, but she is with us. Welcome.
We are the future.
Whoever you were before, that's over.
As a writer-director duo, we've been engaged in social justice work for about a decade now. But we never imagined that we would be telling a story like Antebellum that would prove so prescient to this moment. It was really important to us that as we were creating and moving through this story and realizing that we needed to always remain responsible stewards of the art entrusted to us, all of the other artists that would come together to make the realization of the story manifest, that they would feel drawn to the story. I know that Janelle feels very strongly about being able to communicate and feel the experiences of the people that came before us. And so how did it resonate with you when you first read the script, and what drew you to want to even participate in a movie like this?
When I read the script, I was on a job, and one of the things that I try and request, I don't always get it, but I try and request to be in a room, a hotel room with a tub so I can take a bath.
Mm-hmm.
This is where I can like decompress. And I was taking a bath and I was reading the script, and I found my hands wrinkled, feet wrinkled, because I stayed there and I read the script all the way through. And usually I can read a script, I can read half of it, and then I'm like, okay, let me get to the back of it. But once I got to that twist, I was like, I have to finish this, and I have to finish this right now. I saw so many Black women embedded in this character. Black women like Maxine Waters, Black women like Brittany Packnett, Black women like Angela Rye. I saw Angela Davis. I saw all of these pillars in our Black community. And the thing that I always want to do is honor Black women and Black women's voices, and make sure that I'm humanizing Black women on screen. And I thought this was a great opportunity to continue the conversation of what it's like to be a Black woman that has to carry the load of dismantling white supremacy every single day.
Mommy, why was that man so angry?
Oh, baby, that is a really great question. Sometimes what looks like anger is really just fear. Things are not always what they appear to be, baby.
That's heavy and so true. I would say that everyone within our extraordinary ensemble cast brought something so extraordinary to the table. And that includes, obviously, Janelle as the lead, that everyone brought their own unique sketch of what these people are. Dawn, in particular, played by Gabourey, for myself and Chris, like what we put on the paper completely was transformed into something that was so breathtaking to us. Can you talk a little bit about how that role, how you knew when you read the script, or what? I don't even know when you decided that you were, because all of you, when we met with all of you, because we were first time feature directors, so we met with everyone, we were like, do you want to do it?
Like a drug deal. It was literally like a drug deal. Yeah. I have to say that Janelle's manager, actually, Mikhail, we did a panel together and he told me about the script and I was like, that sounds dope. Like, I just thought it sounded like a really cool concept. And then he emailed me the script and I remember reading it, and just like the imagery on the first page, like no dialogue, but the written imagery was so gorgeous. And I just knew, I was like, oh no, these writers are careful. Careful just means respectful too. And like, I knew that I was like, I need to do this. Mm-hmm. And I think part of that is because I'd gone to Ghana in like the winter right before we were shooting, right before I got this script. And I was at a slave castle. I spent an entire day at a slave castle, and I was there with 100+ people that were all Black creatives, Black artists, and we were all standing in this jail where we were housed when we were slaves for 3 months minimum, without sunlight, without daylight, before we were put on a boat to cross to America to build this country that would never have us. And I remember standing in that jail wearing Jordans, having been on this gigantic trip that I could only take because of what I do for a living. It's an expensive trip. And I could not help but think, this jail, this floor, this trench where we're supposed to use the bathroom, this dehumanization of this cage is where they want us to be. And it all still stands because it was supposed to still stand, because that's what I'm supposed to be. I'm still supposed to be a slave. And so I felt like, oh no, this is not that far away. This is not that long ago. My mother's grandmother was a slave. That's not that far away. And I just thought the script was such an important look at our history. And we're absolutely losing it. In history books now, it doesn't mention slaves. Like, we migrated to America, which we know is erasure. That's a lie. And I just thought the script was filled with so much truth. And it felt like, and it is, it's a tribute. It's a tribute to the ancestors that made me and that still hold me today. And I just knew I had to, like, because Dawn is today, whereas Eden was yesterday. But if we're not careful, Eden is also tomorrow. Yes. And so I knew my position as today. Today I have to show the stark difference from what they thought of us and what they secretly still think of us, but being unaware of that. I had to be as free as possible so that Eden could be a slave.
Enjoy your dinner.
No.
Sorry, I think what my friend was trying to say is that...
Actually, babe, I got it. This table is 100% not acceptable, and I think that you know that, don't you? Becky. Mm-hmm. Listen, I'm actually not gonna go back and forth with you about exactly why this table is unacceptable. You're gonna seat us over there.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. You're doing great.
It's funny. I think about all of you as artists, and each one of you is so extraordinary in your own right, and are centered and grounded in your gift. And I wonder also what it must be like as a white artist to take on a role like what Jenna and what Jack, that journey. I think that as artists, allyship for you is also about taking responsibility for telling the truth. I'm wondering, how that must have felt for you as you were even thinking about exploring the potential of taking on these really difficult roles.
It's interesting. I just remember the first time I spoke to you, actually, Gerard. I remember saying, it's funny, the fear I feel about playing this character, well, the responsibility of playing the character is far greater, because to be a part of something which can open up a conversation and open up a dialogue and can shock you and make you realize that, you know, as the greatest opening of any line ever, the past is never dead, it's not even past. William Faulkner, you opened the script with that line and it hit such a sort of personal note. You know, I in the strange way, I felt such a responsibility that, and such safety.
Like, I felt like this was the first time that I didn't feel like I was creating a character. I felt like I was like almost like an ancestral historian, where I was like, these are the pieces that make sense to my embodiment, to even like, I don't even know who my great-great-grandmother was, but I felt like I was channeling her need through of catharsis, through the alchemy of telling the truth the right way, you know? And that you kind of have to reveal all of the trauma. You have to dive into the wound for it to heal. You know, you can't forget about it. You can't paint it over. You have to really examine it. And so I think, you know, Jack and I sat in this wound space where it was our job to keep opening the wound and being like, you know, I think we could go deeper here. I think there's actually another artery that we have not revealed or severed, or, you know. And when we kept getting into that work, I was like, oh my God, it's like there's oceans and rivers under here that I wasn't even really fully aware of, you know?
We go tonight.
911, what is your emergency?
The acreage between you as artist, between you and these characters. I think, I'm not an actor, I can't act my way out of a paper bag, but I think that I would be really afraid to get so close to those spirits, you know, to that energy, knowing that I have a responsibility to tell the story. And I appreciate you all lending, you know, your bodies and your tremendous talent to this. I just wanted to ask Tongai really quickly, you being from Zimbabwe, what was that experience like for you, working sort of tandem, shoulder to shoulder with Janelle Monáe and moving into this space? Because there was one of the main reasons that we were so excited about you is that you operate with a certain gravitas. There is a heaviness in the best way to your energy that you and Janelle in your performance together, so much of it, you imagine that the enslaved Black people, so much of the way that they communicated with each other was nonverbal. It was through, it was a twitch, it was a body language, it was a thing, it was a way that you had to create a telepathic shorthand. And so what was that like, and that experience for you?
As obviously as a foreigner, as an outsider, coming into the American dynamic, there was so much that I needed to learn and understand. I think the most pivotal moment was when I actually landed on the plantation itself. It ceased being a film, a project. It felt for me very much like a rite of passage. And I can only imagine as an African, you know, coming to a plantation, the confusion that I kind of felt at the time as Eli, as to why this is happening, the freedoms that have been taken away from me. And as soon as you want to voice something, somebody is silencing you. So the psychological effect that I felt being on that plantation and just wanting to express who I really was, but I'm being silenced. The frustration that built up in me, just I think really added to what I feel the first enslaved people who were first brought to America might have felt.
There she is. Guess what?
Daddy is going to get you dressed for school today.
We are descendants of the gods. This land was always ours. But we must never relent. We're nowhere and everywhere.
You know, when you're thinking about enslaved folks, they didn't get to be themselves. They were stolen, and what the oppressors stole were doctors, lawyers, artists, painters, friends, mothers, sons, daughters. And I think being able to see her with her girls, letting her hair down, you know, talking about the pressures of being a mom, talking about her not feeling, you know, like she's being the best mom or the best wife. Going through those everyday struggles was very important, because we don't get that context when we're talking about our ancestors who were stolen and brought over here to America. These people had humor. They were fun. You know what I'm saying? They had real lives. But you guys can talk. Lily, you can talk.
I've been thinking so many thoughts, so many deep thoughts. No, everyone is being so, it's incredible to hear you all speak, so articulate and such beautiful things. And it was surreal to arrive. I mean, we were the last thing that was filmed, and Gabby and I showed up like, what's up, you guys? And everyone had just gotten back from shooting, it just things you couldn't even imagine, just the most kind of horrifying conditions that you were in artistically, that you were having to go to psychologically as actors, but also just actually just physically. It seemed like there was just, you were filming in these swamps where it was covered in bugs, and everyone was just haggard when we arrived on set. We're like, what's up, anybody want a juice or what? And we were all like, I remember Janelle was just like, I'm going on a vacation. And I'm not going to answer my phone for a long time. And I'm like, oh, okay, but are you ready to do something fun now? We were really blessed to be in a part of the film that was light and brought that, you know, the relationship between friends and what, you know, the dynamic between powerful females can be. I mean, that was what I had responded to when I read the script, was that I thought, oh, this is great. This is a power. These are powerful women who are relating to each other in natural, real ways. Gabby is the funniest person I've ever met. We were all peeing in our pants. And how much of it was just riffing. You were just, it was incredible. You were just like, it taught me so much to see the way that both of you were working.
I mean, I have to apologize to Gabourey and Lily a little bit, because, you know, there were a couple times where we had it. And we just did a couple of takes because I had no idea what you were going to say, Gabby. How you going to deliver it? We wanted more, especially in the car scene. We're like, let's run another song and have them sing something else. Well, I would say that, you know, from the script, it was important that we started the film at sunset and end at sunrise on a new day. And that's really, you know, what we're pushing for with this film, is a new understanding, a new day. We also felt it was incredibly important to correct the record with what has been shown in the past, and in shooting all of those scenes with the lenses from Gone with the Wind really helped to capture the beauty, the horror, the history all together in what we hope is a powerful ending.
We also wanted to depict a Black woman superhero. Mm-hmm. And to us, it is crucial that we move from the distraction of bringing movie audiences into the idea that a superhero from another planet is coming to save all of us. It is only us who are going to save humanity from ourselves. And that is that triumphant gallop of Veronica through the battlefield, which we're so blessed because Janelle has a face kissed by the gods that looks mythological and is coming through that field, and you feel like you're experiencing something otherworldly. And yes, she made it out victorious, but she didn't make it out unscathed. She made it out and she survived. She had the audacity to survive, to get back to her child, to get back to her husband, and to find a way to be happy and to find joy in spite of everything that she went through, she was going to get back. And so that scene for us was crucial because we're just tired of us not having our happy ending. We deserve our happy ending. We have earned it.
I've never felt such exhilaration, and I truly, it's one of those amazing moments in a film when I watched Janelle on that horse in slow motion going through that. I've never wanted to sort of pump my fist in the air. Only the old school, you know.
What we're seeing right now, there's no way that we can't talk about the past when we're talking about the present. It's all interconnected. And I think that's what this film does. I think it serves as a reminder of how certain policies have been put in place and how long they have existed and how important it is to get rid of them, to burn them. This film has a lot of fire. And yes, it is triumphant. And yes, you know, Veronica survives, but the work that Veronica had to do to get through that, there are so many women around the world who do it every single day, so many Black women who do it. And my hope is that after this movie, people, Black women in particular, are given peace, are given peace. You have tuned in to Entertainment Weekly's Around the Table. Thank you guys so much for watching. Our film, Antebellum, comes out September 18th. Please watch with friends, with family members, discuss. We thank you so much.
Thank you so much.